From the John Davidic Broadcast Center, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Paranormal Radio with Bob Trisek on the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network and Jack FM 89.7 WRHS FM Norwich.
Thank you very much, John.
After 9 months recovering from a very serious accident, let's welcome back Paranormal Radio and Bob Trisek.
Thank you, John. Thanks very much. It's nice to be back. It really is. Yeah, it's been a long absence here. Although we weren't really away from it totally, because we had a couple of things where I did a few talks at the libraries and we did a couple of broadcasts there and that. So, but it's nice to be back in the studio and back doing what we were doing before everything happened here. And thank you so much for having us back, John. You kept the slot open for me there, and you didn't give it to anybody else.
You're always welcome, Bob. And there were many people at Ridgewood that was asking about you during your absence.
Well, thank you. Yeah,
so
that's
Kevin
very nice. Yeah, it was a lot of people. There was a real nice outpouring of people there, sympathies and stuff, and get well wishes and stuff. So I'm not up to 100% yet, but I'm at least able to start driving the car and start walking with a cane and that, so that's why we can start coming and doing the show.
Now, what's this little rumor I heard that you're waiting for the snow to come back so you can clean snow again on the roof?
No, I'm not cleaning snow, and I'm not going to be living in a house too much longer. No, I'm planning on selling my home and moving to something a little less maintenance. Yeah, so we're planning on getting rid of that. So that's a little bit in the works there. Probably a year for that. You know how that goes when you're selling a house. Although sometimes it sells in 5 days. Any to hoot, we are on the air here, and it has been a wonderful, lovely September 8th. Is it the 8th today? Yes, it is, September 8th. Wonderful day. Tonight we have this moon phenomenon. I don't know if you're aware of this, but this has been a very unusual year for the moon. April 14th, April 15th, we had that blood moon, if you remember that one. Tonight we have, I'm not certain what this thing is called, the majestic moon or the large moon or something. It's supposed to be a very unusually large full moon, unusual brightness to it. So a lot of moon phenomenon. So get out tonight and take a look at the moon. If you're a gardener, it's a little late for that now because it's about 7 in the evening when we're doing this, taping this broadcast. But if you're a gardener, you plant your stuff on the full moon. So today would have been a really, really good day to do any planting. If you do any fall planting or anything in your vegetable garden, some quick stuff like turnips and radishes and some flowers and things for next year, some tulip bulbs and that kind of stuff. A great day to do that. Beware of werewolves. We will have the full moon tonight, so beware of that when you're out there. We do have a cult of people that do believe in them, so not for me to doubt that they're there. So just kind of be on the lookout for any hairy, creepy people maybe following or stalking you or running by your house when you're looking out the windows tonight. Okay, announcements. Tonight we have for our guest, we have Mr. Tom Cameron, and we'll be talking to Tom in a little bit there and getting to him and all the wonderful things that he does. Just some announcements of some things that I'm going to be doing. Even though I've been away from radio, I've been keeping up with paranormal in the way of lectures and some tours. Tours, I haven't been able to do too many of the tours with the walking and that kind of stuff, but I have been doing my library talks and lectures and the different park districts and that. Coming up this September 27th, if we get enough people to do it, we are going to be taking you up to Rose Hill Cemetery, old historic Rose Hill. John, you're very familiar with that, with the fireman's thing there and all that, yeah.
I'm going to be there on Sunday, September the 28th. At 4 o'clock in the morning, setting up the PA system for the Chicago Fire Department Union. They do a memorial service there every year.
Oh, I'll be there the day before. We'll be there if the tour goes. We'll be there the 27th.
Well, I tell you what, when you're over there by the museum where the fire statue of the fireman that's there, you look across the road, you're going to see a wire going from one side of the road to the other, because that'll be my wire. Because I'm
your
there.
Broadcast wires.
Yes.
Oh, okay. See, we should have done something. We could have done a broadcast from... Well, you are doing a broadcast from Rose Hill. You're out there a lot. You hang out at Rose Hill a lot. You're up there a lot.
I'm there every year.
Yeah.
The last Sunday of September, I'm there.
You go there quite a lot. And actually, where we're at here, you're a lot closer here than where I'm at. I'm in Summit. You're a lot more closer here. I was going to say you're not too far, but you are still a little bit distance away. Anyway, that will be September 27th, and then, of course, John will be there on the 28th, like he just said. Let's see what else we've got. October. What do I have this written down for? Egyptian artifacts. Oh, Egyptian artifacts. I'll be doing an exhibit of artifacts of ancient Egypt at the Olin Park Library. October, and that will be there for the whole month, so you can just stop in and take a look at that stuff. October 13th, I'll be at the Brookfield Library talking about Southside Supernatural and Hauntings. The 18th, October, we'll be doing the 18th and 19th at Moraine Valley Community College. We'll be doing a paranormal conference. I've kind of shied away from doing these conferences. I've never done them. I've been asked many times to do them. This time I'm doing one. They made me an offer I couldn't refuse. They actually very generously gave me a table free there, because it's like about $125 for a table. Do you still have some tables open there, Tom, if someone
I
wants one?
do. I
And
still have some available.
And just give us the phone number if someone would like a table over there.
708-205-3667.
Give it again.
708-205-3667.
There you go. That's if you're looking to rent a table there. If you do palm readings or tarot card readings, or you have some paranormal stuff that you'd like to plug and hand out to people, that kind of stuff, you can get yourself a table there for that. That will be the 18th and 19th. When we get to Tom, he'll talk more about that and give us more details about what's going on there. I really can't because I've never done one before, so it'll be a new experience for me too. But I'll be doing palm readings there. That will be October 18th and 19th. October 23rd, I'll be back with my good friends at the Justice Library doing a talk there on ghosts of the Windy City, of which we have many. October 25th, I'll be with the Central Stickney Park District doing a presentation on Titanic and the psychic connection to the Titanic. It's going to be a luncheon and a lecture type thing. So they're going to give you something to eat and you listen to me talk. October 27th, back at the Bridgeview Library doing the Windy City Ghosts. The 29th, I'll be at the Oak Lawn Library talking about the ghosts and hauntings of New Orleans, which again there they got many of them, and doing some palm readings over there for them at the Oak Lawn Library. First time at the Oak Lawn Library, so I'm kind of looking forward to that one. Never been there before. And then October 30th, I'll be with my new friends over at the Orland Park Library. I'll be doing an exhibit there of all the Egyptian artifacts, and I did a talk there earlier this year on the Titanic. It was real nice. We had a real good turnout for that presentation, so I'm hoping for a good turnout for this October 30th presentation. And this is going to be all about the hauntings in the White House. And then back in November we won't get to in February and all that stuff. We'll wait on that because we got time for that. We'll just cover the October things here. We'll get to that. Okay, that's enough of announcements there for that. If you want, you can just go up on my Facebook page, Bob Trzeciak, Bob Trzeciak, and you'll see all this stuff on there and that, and it'll be up there all the time now. I'll be announcing that and everything, so if you're interested in any of these things. Okay, tonight we have with us as a guest Mr. Tom Cameron. Tom and I talked on the phone the other day, and it was about a little bit about the Paranormal Conference and about some other things that we have going on, and we just kind of clicked. We kind of hit it off, and I knew Tom would be a great guest. I talked to him for just maybe 5-10 minutes on the phone. We talked, and I asked him, I says, would you like to come on the radio Monday? Sure, he'll do it. And Tom does a lot of different things. He's a martial arts grand master. He actually canceled his class. He does a class tonight, but I guess a few of his students didn't come, so they canceled the class, which is how he's actually able to do this, because he's a very busy person, so he had some time free to do the show with us here at Paranormal Radio. Also, too, he's an instructor at Moraine Valley College. He actually does a class at Moraine Valley. It's called Paranormal World. So he'll be talking a little bit more about that stuff. He'll give us the details on that. And then, of course, he's in charge of this Paranormal Conference, which I mentioned here on the October 18th and 19th. Mr. Tom Cameron, welcome to Paranormal Radio.
Thanks for having me, Bob. I appreciate it.
Very nice to have you here. Yes, very nice. We like I said, we met sort of over the phone, and then we just seen each other today for the first time in person. And if you listen to Tom talk, he's got like a young-sounding voice, which kind of, when I'm listening to him on the phone, I thought, gee, this guy has got a very young voice. But then he told me his age, and he's not 90, but he's not, but he's not 40. He's not 40 either. He's kind of in between, and I was really surprised because his voice sounded like a much younger person. Well, what would you like to talk about?
Well, since you started with the age, yes, I just celebrated my 60th birthday a couple of weeks ago. I was actually born on Friday the 13th.
Ooh.
So, numerologists always love that.
Frigatrisca decaphobia, fear of the number 13.
Not been one of my issues. I was born on Friday the 13th at 6:13. I weighed 7 pounds 13 ounces, and my name has got 13 letters in it.
Wow.
And that's a start.
So 13 is kind of your lucky number, actually. Yeah.
13 has always been something very significant for me. So I'm fascinated by numerology.
Now, I'm sure you've kept track of it. How many times in your 60 years have there been Friday the 13th birthdays for you?
That I haven't kept track of. Actually, it should have been next year, but because of it being a leap year next year, it's going to jump for us, so I'm going to miss out on that one.
Yeah.
But this year, to celebrate my 60th birthday, I decided that blowing out candles just wasn't energetic enough, so I broke 62-inch slabs of concrete in 60 seconds for my 60th birthday.
You broke 62...
No, 60 2-inch concrete slabs.
62-inch concrete slabs.
for my 60th birthday in 60 seconds.
I wished I would have known that. I got some cement work by my house that needs doing, and you could come and just have a go at it. And
I do real good on doing fill, but I don't do real good on actually
like the driveway, that
finishing
kind of thing. You couldn't go out there. And
but I can provide all kinds of masonry for the fill underneath it.
Well, see, I was looking for like the freebie here, So you just come out and chop, and
that I haven't quite learned how to do yet. I might be more gainfully employed if I could.
You are a martial arts grandmaster. Now, what exactly is?
Right.
I know absolutely nothing about martial arts, which is why I'm going to be very nice to you, because I want you coming and breaking my other leg. I'm just healing the right one, and
I wouldn't do that. I've been in martial arts now for 42 years. I've studied a wide variety of systems. Primarily, I've studied I have my grandmastership in Taekwondo, which means that I have the way that it breaks down is first, second, and third degree black belts are instructors. Fourth, fifth, and sixth degree are master instructors. Seventh, eighth, and ninth are grandmasters. So I got my seventh degree a couple of years ago. So that bequeaths me the title of grandmaster.
Now, is there like a college of martial arts where they give you, you go on to these next levels?
It's national and international associations that do that. They're the ones that certify you, and you have to go before a board, very much the same way as you might do for a PhD thesis or something of that nature.
See, yeah. See, this is something we have to work on in paranormal, because in paranormal, as you know as well as I do, no one is certified for this.
Right.
No one is certified in paranormal. There are no certified. My brother's always after me. My brother Ray is always after me about palm reading, because I read palms. He's, why don't you get certified? And I says, who certifies you?
Well,
who does this?
And that's the problem, is that and one of the things that adds legitimacy to it is having organizations that create a certain set of standards by which the people are able to compare. Okay, this is a certified instructor. This is a person who's been actually studying legitimate styles or recognized styles of whatever it might be, martial arts or be it palmistry. But you have to have sort of a credentials committee, if you will, in order to do something like that. One of the things that we've long been trying to get is to have the state certify martial arts instructors, because even though I can say I've got a 7th degree black belt and I can produce the paperwork that shows that, anybody who has the price of a business license can open up a martial arts academy. So you really don't know what you're getting.
That's something I did not know. I thought you had to have like special licensing and stuff for that.
All it is the
so
cost
all these little
of the
places you
business.
see in all the little strip malls and all that, they're just, anybody wants to open up, you just go ahead and open up.
You could open up John Kwando tomorrow.
Huh. No licensing, no credentials, no nothing.
Nothing
just
is required.
Just carry heavy insurance policy.
That's not even required by the state. I mean,
really?
one would think that it is, but not even that is required by the state.
I would think so. With something like this that's very physical, I would think insurance would be a big part of it.
Individual municipalities, in some cases, have
varies
requirements.
town to town,
right? From town to town, they might
that.
require, but there is nothing on the state that requires any kind of certification at all. So, as I said, somebody can open up a school tomorrow and everybody thinks, oh, well, this guy's got to be legitimate. Look at all the paperwork he's got on the wall. I can produce all kinds of paperwork from the back end of Black Belt magazine that would make you believe that, I've been in martial arts for 140 years.
That'd be kind of hard to do since you're only 60 years old.
But that's only this time around.
That's true. We have more than one life, depending what you believe in. So
Yes.
Now, you also, in addition to this, in addition to martial arts, which that in itself would be enough to keep you going and busy with that, you're an instructor at Marin Valley Community College, and you teach a class there called Paranormal World.
Right. Actually, I had taught that class a number of years ago, probably about 20 years ago or so,
Really?
And then they've recently gone through a couple management changes and have allowed it to come back because they had gotten a lot of flack from some of the fundamentalist churches in the area that that I was teaching some sort of demonic type of theology. I wasn't, but
now here again, you don't have to get licensed or certified.
No.
For paranormal. So how do you? What qualifies you to teach a paranormal world class, like a class like this?
All they did was the college checked to make sure that I had some sort of a pedigree, that I could demonstrate that I had been involved in the field, that I had done. I had produced newspaper articles or had produced magazine articles, had contacts in the field that also certified me as being somebody who has a working knowledge of it that would be able to pass that type of stuff on to their students. Plus, the fact that I had also taught other things at the college as well. I had taught self-defense classes and things like that.
I get it. So you kind of already had an into the...
Right, and they knew me to be a fairly well-versed instructor, somebody that was able to relate to adult students.
And could hold a class, could hold the interest.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Knew how to set up a curricula, etc.
Yeah. Now, that class will be starting, in case you're interested in this, I mean, because people are, paranormal right now is very hot stuff. For some of us, it's never really been out of vogue, but right now it is very much in, and people are really, really into the paranormal now. So if someone is interested into this, maybe, would this be like a good introductory thing to get people interested into it?
That's exactly what this was designed to do.
Okay.
The class runs for 8 weeks, and each week we deal with a different topic. For example, 1 week we'll deal with UFOs, 1 week we'll deal with fortune telling, or all the different types of prognostication, be it palmistry or card reading or what have you. Another week we deal with altered states of consciousness. 1 week we deal with reincarnation and we do past life regressions in the class. The introductory class that we do is on energy manipulation. We teach them how to manipulate their own energy, and that's where a lot of my martial arts comes in, is the style of martial art. While I have my 7th degree in Taekwondo, much of my study for the last 25 years has been predicated on pressure points and energy work and Qigong and things of that nature. So when I've done appearances on like Ripley's Believe It or Not or Stanley's Superhumans or things like that.
Stanley's Superhumans?
Yes.
Ripley's I'm well aware of, because Ripley's been on for many, many years. They're
Right.
on radio and TV, both. Stanley's Superhumans?
Stanley's Superhumans
Not
is
even familiar with this. Is that a cable show? Or?
Yes, it's a cable
Okay.
show. It's on the History Channel. It's been on for about 4 or 5 years now, where they go around the world. There's a young guy who is the world's stretchiest human being. His name is Dan, and I don't remember his last name.
Stretch Armstrong?
Something like that. I mean, his contortion abilities are just astonishing. They are just creepy to be around at times. But he will go around the world literally to find people. For example, he found one guy in India that was able to conduct enormous amounts of electricity without any harm to him. They found a guy, I believe it was up in Sweden, who is able to maintain thermal integrity even though he's sitting in the middle of an ice bath at near freezing
Wow.
temperatures for hours on end.
So they found you because you were able to cut 60 blocks in
the thing that I'm known
62-inch blocks
the thing that I'm known for, and the thing Ripley's gave me the nickname of the human stun gun, because we use the acupuncture points that an acupuncturist would use. We use our fingers to manipulate them, where we can turn off really any organ in the human body, where we can, with just a tap, we can cause the lungs to collapse, kidney to shut down, heart to go into
This could be a little dangerous, couldn't it?
It could be extremely.
If you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, it could be extremely dangerous if you're unstable.
Now, this being acupuncture, of course, this would be medicinal. Although not in this country, not a recognized, kind of like what chiropractors were a few years ago, they're becoming more and more recognized. Acupuncture still is not too well recognized in this country.
It doesn't carry the same legitimacy. You're right that other types of therapies do. But as I said, where an acupuncturist would go in at one angle on a pressure point, will come in at a different angle to cause the arm to go numb, to cause the person to be incapable of lifting their arm or move their foot or whatever situation.
Now, does this have any kind of medical benefit to it?
The medical benefits
or is this mostly
are
like
acupuncture.
in self-defense?
Well, the stuff that I teach are strictly in self-defense.
Okay.
Although we do have to teach our students the same types of medicinal properties or the same types of medicinal benefits that an acupuncturist or a massage therapist would learn, so that they can correct the issues that they create in their working partners. I mean, when we're working with each other, it's not unusual for us to come close to or actually to knock out the person that we're working with, and then you have to know how to resuscitate them appropriately, or how to
This
how
could
to
lead to
cause
some trouble,
cardiac
yeah, if you don't know what you're doing, yeah.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. So it starts out very slowly. I mean, we teach people how to manipulate the nerves in such a way so that the hand will forcibly reflex open so that they can get away from somebody who's grabbing them, or will forcibly cause the eyes to tear up so that they can run away without the person being able to find them, things of that nature.
How about if you run into one of those people that just can't stop talking? Can you do something with the tongue and make the tongue just like, just malfunction, and all of a sudden,
we just put them to sleep,
very quietly, just
yes,
let them
yes,
nod for a little while and doze off.
We're the perfect cure for insomnia,
Because I could think of a couple of people that I would like to stun the tongues. I'm sure there's times people would like to stun my tongue too, but
there's always all kinds of herbal preparations that you can use for things like that.
Can you buy those like in Jewel where they have like all the celestial teas,
actually,
time tea, and is there tongue numb tea or?
Tongue numb tea. That sounds like
Sounds like
another martial art.
Yeah. See, I just created a new thing here.
How about that? But no, I mean there's plants that you can find in the Jewel that will do that. There's a plant called a Dieffenbachia, which in Italy, originally it was called the mother-in-law's plant, because a few drops from the leaves of the Dieffenbachia will actually cause vocal paralysis.
Are you talking about those green, spindly mother-in-law's tongue plants? Is that it?
No, not those.
Not
the
mother-in-law's tongue.
Dieffenbachia's got a real broad leaf. It's two-tone, usually like green and yellow.
Like most mother-in-laws.
Like most mother. I can speak freely because my mother-in-law is no longer with us, so, and I never met her. So
well, we won't say anything bad about people that aren't here to defend themselves. So,
no, that type of a thing is an herbal preparation. But we do teach our students all kinds of healthful procedures that they should practice, not only to correct the issues that they might have during the course of the class, but just simply the types of things that will promote energy flow and positive growth, as well as positive health for the person. Types of practices that they can do to keep their energy flowing freely and in a positive way.
Interesting stuff. So this is all it's a very positive, good thing. Now, I'm just interested to know now, how do you go from martial arts and and all this kind of thing to the paranormal?
Well,
it's just like two separate interests and just two separate.
Well, I thought it was at one time. I mean, I grew up in a haunted house. The house that I grew up in was extremely sick. I'm a lifetime Chicago person. I grew up in South Shore.
The house was sick.
Oh, very. The house was kind of a typical thing for Chicago. We had there was a store underneath it, which was a barber shop, and the barber was the landlord of the house. He lived behind the barber shop with his wife. We lived on the second floor, and there was a third floor apartment as well. And there was always stuff moving. There was always shadows. There was always this type of stuff. I've always been very sensitive to it. My mom was the kind of person that if she couldn't break it or smoke it in front of her, it didn't exist. My dad was much more open to the paranormal, so I at least had an ally in him. But things would literally come off of the wall and turn 90 degrees. Just all kinds of horrible stuff that would happen. It turned out, years later, I found out that the building was originally owned by the Lutheran Church in the area. They had used the storefront as their church area, and the place that we were in was actually the place that they would wake and embalm their parishioners that passed. So
on the second floor.
Yeah, ours, where my bedroom was the embalming room for.
Oh, that's a nice thing to know, isn't it? Yeah.
It was delightful. And then later on, when I learned how to trans-channel and was actually able to communicate with spirits, not the ones in the house, but with ones that could get the story, they explained that the man that I kept seeing in the house was actually the mortician for the church, and that the reason that he hadn't moved on is he had been desecrating the bodies.
Oh, my Lord.
So, that's why he was stuck. Now, we lived in that house from the time that I was 2 years old to the time that I was 22. Then I purchased the house next door and moved my family out. And within 6 months of us moving out, 3 people died in what had been my bedroom, and then the house burned down.
Wow.
So whatever energy I was able to bring to bear seemed
3 people died in the room that was your bedroom.
In the room that was
yet
my
you
bedroom.
yourself got away and never affected you.
It affected me, but I was always able to forestall any kind of long-term effects. I mean, I would literally wake up at times, particularly towards the end, where crucifixes, the bodies had been snatched off the crucifixes and were placed upside down against the door like a door jamb. So the entity was very violent.
Now, was anybody else, like the barber and his wife in the downstairs apartment, or the people on the third floor, anybody else experiencing any of this, or was this only just a second floor type thing for you guys living on the second floor?
The people up on the third floor never overtly expressed any kind of paranormal activity.
So if there was anything, they just didn't say?
Yeah, yes and no. The wife went insane.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
So who's to say what the...
Well, like you said this at the beginning. This is a very sick house. Yeah,
oh, yeah.
Really.
And it was really funny because later on when I learned about energy patterns and such out of an Oriental system, when I actually took a look at the house, it could not have been more damaged. It was the site of all kinds of negative energy flows, from being at the end of an alley to being on a busy street, to being across from a tavern, just all kinds of negative energy that was influencing that one particular side. But it's also because of growing up in that neighborhood, when the neighborhood changed, that I ended up in martial arts. I went to Chicago Vocational High School, and at the time that I was going there was late 60s, early 70s. And ours is, and I've heard comedians make this as a joke. I swear to you this is not a joke. Our high school newspaper had an obituary column because we had such violence in the school that they were...
Our high school newspaper had birth announcements.
We could have had that too, and that would have been the entire newspaper, but... But yeah, we had literally an obituary column for the students that were dying and or killed during the month between newspapers. So
my goodness.
After having...
Now, what was the explanation for all of this?
Well, it was at that special time in American history where we had all kinds of racial unrest. There was all kinds of
well, we all
trauma.
grew up with that. I mean, we all had that. If in the 60s and 70s and that kind of thing, we all had that
right.
around. But I don't think any of it. I mean, I can remember, fights and things like that. There would be a lot of that kind of stuff. But I don't remember any deaths. Now, of course, it'd be a different story. But in those days, I don't remember any deaths coming from this. Why did you guys have so many deaths?
Well, I mean, the high school that I went to, there were approximately 4,200 students, and I was one of 12 that wasn't black.
Oh, geez, okay.
So I kind of found out what it was like to be on the other side of the fence, and I was being encouraged on a regular basis that this was not the place that I should be going, but that was the school that I was assigned to.
That's where you wound up. That's where God put you. So that's
right,
where you were. Yeah.
And that was the neighborhood that I grew up. So finally, right at the beginning of my senior year, as I'm coming down the stairs to go to the office to give them an attendance report or something of that nature, another student came up the stairs, stopped me, pulled out a small Derringer, and stuck it up my nose and robbed me. Then when he finished robbing me, he pulled the trigger, and the gun jammed.
Wow.
So...
Just wasn't your time.
It wasn't my time.
You seem to have been a person that has cheated death a few times.
More times than I'd care to think about. I mean, it's really funny. My life seems to have fallen into three significant categories. One being violence related, another one being paranormal related, and then all of the other just kind of normal, as though I had anything normal in my life. But it was that activity. It was that incident that told me that I needed to start fighting back. I needed to learn some way of being able to respond to these kinds of threats, because I was literally the perfect mama's boy. I was overweight. I was wimpy. I was, completely non-athletic. I couldn't stand sports. Still can't. I really don't like team sports. When people say I'm a professional athlete, I kind of cringe, because I don't see myself in that way. But it was that incident that provoked me into seeking a way of being able to protect myself. As it turned out, the television show Kung Fu was just hitting the airwaves, just becoming popular.
Now you're talking about the old David Carradine.
The old David Carradine show, absolutely. And so I thought, okay, well, this seems to make sense, and so I started trying to teach myself as much as possible, and did a pretty good job of teaching myself for a while, and then I got into college and was able to take the self-defense and martial arts courses there.
Okay, this is a great stopping point for us here, and we'll continue with this in just a moment. Stick with us, talking with Mr. Tom Cameron here on Paranormal Radio. Back in just a moment, folks.
You are listening to Paranormal Radio with Bob Tricek from the John DeVita Broadcast Center on Jack FM 89.7 WRHS FM Norwich and the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network on Tuesday, September the 9th, the year 2014. And this is Jack FM 89.7 WRHS FM Norwich, Illinois. And now, back to Paranormal Radio with Bob Tricek.
Okay, we are back on the air here talking with Mr. Tom Cameron. Tom has just got a whole bunch of things he does here. He's a martial arts grandmaster. He's an instructor over at the Marine Valley Community College and teaches a class in Paranormal World. He runs the Paranormal Conference also at Marine Valley, and just a lot of fascinating stuff. If you've been with us listening to the broadcast, just some fascinating stories here. You can listen to this broadcast on the Windy City Network, www.windycityhometown.com at any time. It'll be up there probably in a day or two. And then also, too, they usually run us up on YouTube. Go to Paranormal Radio, Bob Tracek, my last name. Usually that's how you get it. And then today's date, which would be 9/8. And my last name is TRZECIAK. I always have to spell that because no one can pronounce it or spell it. And then also, too, we are aired on Jack FM 89.7 WRHS over in Norwich at the high school over there. They air our broadcasts for us, too. We were just talking with Tom Cameron here, and we got a good spot to he was just kind of explaining to us how he actually got into martial arts, how it was kind of something he did out of necessity, more or less to defend yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And the thing that fascinated me was, after having been in martial arts for about 10-15 years, I came across a guy who was talking about energy and was talking about, being able to project energy and all the rest of this, which very much tied into my avocation at that time, which was paranormal research. I was doing meditation classes. I was doing trance channeling. In fact, most of your listeners probably know a guy by the name of Chris Fleming, who does a lot of paranormal shows. He actually learned to do his trance channeling in one of my trance channeling classes.
Oh, okay.
Chris and I have been friends for quite some time. So when I ran across a martial arts instructor who was talking about using energy, using pressure points, that was all stuff that was implied in all of the stuff that I had studied, but nobody actually outside of the Orient ever said, well, this is how you can do it. You don't run across very many Americans who are actually willing to open their mind up to the idea of the potentials of what the Orientals consider just kind of their normal sphere, their normal paradigm for the world, if you will. Where energy exists everywhere and it's utilized and it's manipulated and they use it just very matter-of-factly. We here in the West we look at the martial arts masters and wonder how they can do it, because we're looking strictly at the brute force and the training.
It's a different culture. It's something you're brought up with, something that's with you from literally from the cradle on.
Absolutely.
With this, so it's a normal thing for you. Just like their medicine would be, their
Right.
acupuncture and their treatments and their kind of thing like that. It's the normal thing.
Right.
When you're ill, you go to see the acupuncturist. That's what you would do.
Right. Right,
Here
exactly.
Here it's a little different. Here we have it as an alternative medicine. It's
Right.
alternative.
Which I think is really funny when you consider that the alternative medicine has been around for 2,000 years longer than our Western
This
medicine.
is true, yeah. So what actually is the true medicine here, huh? Yeah. I wanted to get back to just for
ahead.
a moment here. You had spoken earlier, just before we had the break, about the home that you live in that had all this paranormal activity that was very
Right.
sick in that. And we mentioned during the break, and I think it's worth mentioning on the air, I asked you, I says, was anything else ever built? Because you mentioned the house was torn down.
Right. It
Anything else
actually
ever
it
was
burned
built
down.
there? It burnt, yeah.
No, in fact the entire block virtually is gone. There's only the house that I purchased when I was 22 years old is remaining or still standing on that block. The rest
So you're
of
not
it is
living in
just
there
vacant
anymore either.
lot.
You moved out from that house too.
Oh yeah, I moved out when I got married. I moved out to the Marquette Park area.
Okay.
Because my wife had a 2-flat over that way, so we moved into the 2-flat over there, and my parents still stayed there for several years. After that, then we finally purchased a house where they could live with us. But yeah, it was amazing when you look back at it's nothing but vacant lots. The only thing left standing, like I said, is the house that I had when I was 22. So
That's interesting. And I wonder if there's any, because now even though the houses are gone, but you still have that energy there in that vacant,
Oh, absolutely. Well, and as I had said, the location of the house, even from a feng shui point of view, even if nothing else had happened in that house, it's supposed to be a house that would promote illness, would promote disease, would promote disquiet. So it's no wonder that area has remained undeveloped, if you will. Everybody just would get a really bad vibe from it, I would think.
Just decided not to do anything there or whatever, turn a profit, huh?
Yeah, I can't imagine that anybody would
nothing.
ever. Well, and the neighborhood itself is just starting to come back. It's been a really very depressed area. So.
There's so many, lately with this economy being so bad, like there's so many areas that once were thriving areas are now kind of getting a little downtrodden.
Right,
And,
right.
Kind of a shame. But they tell us things are turning around, so we're still waiting for the turnaround to come here. Okay, I want to touch a little bit on the Paranormal Conference. And I was going to ask you how you connected with Moraine Valley, but we already know that because you're an instructor there, so you've already
Right.
got your foot in the door that way, and you do the Paranormal Conference.
Right. Well, actually, I had started the Paranormal Conference as a fundraiser for the Palos Park Recreation Department. That's one of the places that I teach my martial arts. And with government cutbacks, they were running a little bit short as far as their funding was concerned. So initially, I did a couple talent shows with them, and they were successful. But I thought we could do better. So as I'm having a conversation with the park director, I blurted out, well, we could always do a paranormal fair, and her eyes lit up, and she's like, do you have enough contacts? I'm like, you have
Are you
no
kidding?
idea.
Yeah, are you kidding?
You
There's so many people out there that would love something like this, yeah.
And especially on the south side, it seems like so much of it is held up on the north side or in the northern suburbs.
It's just we have so many ghosts on the south side.
Well, this is right in the heart of Spooksville. I mean, you've got Bachelor's Grove and Resurrection Mary and all kinds of just amazing, long-lived ghost stories and horror stories that have taken place in that, right in that immediate vicinity. In fact, Moraine Valley is built on an old Indian encampment right by
everything?
right by a lake right there. Yeah,
Everything's built on an old Indian encampment or an old Indian burial ground or whatever. I mean, they were here long before we were, so
Yes.
it was their
Absolutely.
land before it was ours.
Absolutely.
Them and the buffaloes. I don't know if we had buffaloes in Illinois. I don't know if we had herds of buffalo here.
I believe we did.
Maybe at one time.
I believe that we did.
And then we sent them out to the reservations out west too. So
Right, and then we decided to fertilize the land with all the uranium from the Manhattan Project.
Yeah, right. Where we have the white deer and
Yes, exactly.
everything seems to stem from it being an Indian burial ground or Indian territory, or it just seems Yeah.
Well, I mean,
What was the tribe? Do you know the tribe that would live out in Moraine Valley? What would have been there?
I don't. I know Sauk and Fox were out here at one time. but I'm not sure.
Who,
whether
Fox and Sox?
No.
They're Dr. Seuss Indians? Or?
No, Sauk, S-A-U-K,
Sauk.
which is where Sauk Village comes
Fox
from.
and Sauk.
Sauk and Fox.
I got it. Sauk and Fox. They did it backwards. Okay.
Right. So I'm not sure whether that would have been the tribe at that particular location or not. But and of course the Illinois were around here too, hence the name.
Yeah. And the Winnebago.
And the Winnebago.
Which the Winnebago are, it's a funny thing, because I like Wisconsin Dells, of course, the
Right.
Winnebago and Wisconsin Dells. And the last time I was up in the Dells, last year I was up in Wisconsin Dells for a few days. And I says, all I hear now is the Ho-Chunk Nation. Everything's the Ho-Chunk, the Ho-Chunk, the Ho-Chunk Casino and all this.
Right.
What happened to the Winnebago? I says, before I remember the Winnebago being the tribe out here, the Winnebagos
Right.
performed at Stand Rock and all this and everything in the Winnebago. They said, oh no, the Winnebago are like no more. They had like a very tribal council, and they kind of booted them out. They weren't happy with the way the Winnebago were handling things, so
Right.
they incorporated them into the Ho-Chunk Nation. So now that's what they are. They're no
Right.
longer the Winnebago. They are now Ho-Chunk.
Right. I mean,
I don't know how after so many years you could just all of a sudden say the tribe is no more, but they did it.
You've been
See,
absorbed.
even with the Indians, it's
Yes,
political.
yeah,
See,
exactly.
so-
Absolutely. Well, I mean, I've long contended that if the Indians had all gotten together, the white men would never have been able to make a foothold.
True,
in the
if they all
United
united,
States,
but so many of those tribes are fighting amongst themselves too. Yeah, but if they all
Absolutely.
united, we wouldn't have had a chance. Yeah.
No, not at all. But
Or
like
if they
you
would have
said,
never took that check
there's-
for $25 in Manhattan, it would have, if the check would have bounced, it would have all been over right there.
That's absolutely true. Because they had been here a couple times before. I mean,
Yeah,
the Irish were up in Canada collecting taxes in the year 1000, according
Yeah.
to the Vatican.
Yeah,
so
sure. And the Vikings came here. We all know that and everything. So,
right.
yeah. So
So anyway, getting back to the paranormal conference.
we do
so-
kind of go off in tangents here, don't we?
Just a bit.
And usually I start them. So
I held the first conference at the recreation department itself, and it was fairly successful. So they said, well, let's expand it. So then we went to the Palos Park Country Club and was even more successful. That was last year. This year, the park district, or the recreation department rather, underwent a management change. So they decided that they didn't want to do it anymore. So I said, okay, well, fine. But most of my vendors still wanted to have it. So it just seemed natural for me to move the conference back to where I was teaching at. So we're over at Moraine Valley.
Yeah.
Quite honestly, I think it's a better venue because we've got all of the state-of-the-art classrooms
and it
where we
seems to
can
be a
have
little
the
bit more of a
lectures.
well-known name too. It's a little more established there.
Absolutely. But not only that, like I say, we have state-of-the-art classrooms where the people who are doing the lectures are going to be able to have access to all of the technology that they want. If they want to use the internet, if they want to use PowerPoint or any of the rest of it, it's all literally right on the
Now,
podium.
is there a charge
for
for people
them.
if people want to come to the conference? Do they have to pay to get in? and
Yes,
that kind of thing?
absolutely.
Okay.
The ticket fee for the day is $12.50. That gets you in to see the vendors and see any of the seminars. There's no extra charge for any of the seminars. There's seminars going on all day long.
Now, who are some of the speakers? I know who they are, but just let us know who some of the
Right.
speakers and people you're going to have.
We have Ed Shanahan, who's a well-known Chicago psychic. He's going to be doing speaking. I'm doing speaking on energy projection and energy manipulation. We have Gonzalo Arevella, I believe is how he pronounces his name.
I'm not familiar with him. Ed Shanahan I've had on this show before,
Right,
so I know who Ed is, yeah.
And Juan he's a South American shaman. He talks about shamanistic healing. John Gruba, who does aura portraits and aura photography, he's going to be a lecturer, as well as he has a booth there where you can actually
Now, the
have your
$12.50,
aura.
is that per day, or does the $12.50 cover
Well,
that
it's
per day?
$12.50 per day, or $15, and I'm sorry, or $20 for
Covers
both
you for the
days.
for the 18th and 19th. Yeah, okay.
Right. So there's lots of vendors that'll be there. We've got crystal vendors. We've got all kinds of readers that are going to be there, palmists and numerologists such as yourself. And
Palmist, not numerologist.
yes, palmist. But
I'm
we
dyslexic, so I can't do numerology.
We've got ghost hunters. Somebody that you're probably familiar with, Colleen Carroll.
Oh, yes, of course. Dear old Colleen, yeah.
She's going to be.
I shouldn't say old Colleen, dear Colleen.
Dear Colleen,
Yeah,
yes, not That's a lady. You can't say old.
I know. I'm just thinking, dear old friend. I've known her for a few years, so
Okay.
yeah.
So we have a wide. Ursula Bielski is supposed to be going to be out there with her display on Bachelor's Grove, and John Stevenson and Rosina from Transformations out in Crestwood. So lots of people that are
Richard
really
Crowe,
heavily-
oddly enough, all through the years, as well known as he was in the field of paranormal in Chicago, paranormal, well, international actually, he was all over the place.
Oh, absolutely.
With paranormal, he never did a paranormal conference. He shied away from them. He never did them.
No, he didn't. And he had some real part of the problem was Richard got really involved in a lot of the politics often. Rich was a friend of mine. In fact, I actually sang at Rich's funeral. But he was somebody who really disliked all of the politics. Anybody that's been in the paranormal field for any length of time knows there's just an enormous amount of politics that goes on. Oh, well, you like him, and you had him at your fair, so I'm not going to have you at my fair. And,
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah,
and all the rest of that kind of,
to be honest with you, that's in one aspect, that's one reason I've never done these things either, and it's also a reason why I've never actually joined one group in particular, because by aligning yourself with one group, all of a sudden it seems like you've alienated yourself from everybody else. And I don't like to do that. I like to stay on a friendly basis with everybody. I really do.
Right.
I like to stay friends with everyone because, from time to time we bring different people on the show. We stay friends with them. And, so if you're competing with people in something else or whatever, that's fine. But we still stay friendly with them. We get them to come on Paranormal here on Windy City, and we talk, and that's why I like to do it.
It just seems like
So many people have asked me, they all want to give me their honorary T-shirt and everything and all this to join their group and that, but I just kind of shy away from it because, like you say, of the politics.
Right.
Of it.
Well, I mean,
I like to stay friendly with them all. I really do.
It's sad because it seems like such schoolyard politics. It really
Yeah,
does.
yeah.
You're friends with him. I can't be friends with you. Really? How
Very often I've had people on as a guest, and they'll bring a book on or something like that, and they say, there's a picture of your group in the book. Oh, no, that's not our group anymore. We're with another one. Like, oh, geez, since the book came out, you've already changed things. So they do that. They kind of change your socks, so the saying goes.
How enlightened
Yeah,
of them. Yes.
yeah. So that's what I say. It does, I know exactly what you're talking about. So,
Right.
Yeah.
And we also have a yoga practitioner that's going to be coming out, and nutritionists, and a couple people that do Reiki. So a real wide
Is it Reiki
variety.
or Reiki?
I've always called it
Reiki?
Reiki.
Okay.
But that's probably the German pronunciation.
I don't know. Yeah, I didn't know it was a German thing. Reiki and Reiki.
You got me.
Reiki.
I've no idea. For me, it's qigong. That's
Chi old.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gee, old. Oh, good grief. So that's kind of the overview of it. Oh, and Sam Moranto from MUFON from the.
Oh, Sam and Tara. I've had him on. No, I never had Sam here. Matter of fact, Sam and Roger Larella, they're very involved with MUFON, with the UFOs
Right.
and that.
Well,
And
Sam's the president of the Illinois
Sam
MUFON.
he's the president, but I've had Sam not on Windy City. I tried to get him to come here.
Mm-hmm.
I had him when I was doing my show when I was doing my shows on WARG over at Arbor
Okay.
High School. I had Sam and Roger both there. I don't think I've had either one of them here. I've been trying to get Roger to come on here, and Sam for that matter. Sam was having trouble with the stairs there because there's a lot of stairs there, and here we don't have that many of them. If I could do it with a cane, with my foot healing and that, we can get Sam in here.
I would think, and also Sam has a UFO conference the same weekend.
Fascinating, man. I loved talking to Sam.
It's funny because his is
And
Friday,
Roger, for that
Saturday,
matter,
and
yeah.
mine is Saturday, Sunday. So actually, some of the speakers that
Oh,
are
you're
gonna
overlapping, yeah.
Right. So some of the speakers that are going to be at his place are actually coming over to my place on Sunday.
Oh, that's
So-
nice. Kind of work hand in hand. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well,
Yeah,
Sam
yeah.
and I have been friends for decades now. So,
Mm-hmm.
and very likely you'd be able to get hold of him. I was listening to your announcements about doing so much at Orland Park Library. He's closely connected with them. So
Yeah,
you-
when I was out there in the spring, he was in the audience there.
Right.
He was
Right.
listening to me talk up there.
That's
Yeah.
that's his hunting grounds.
Ah.
So
I'll probably see him on the 30th. I'll be out the 30th. I'll be back at Orland chatting over there. And
Very
I'll probably
likely.
see him then, yeah.
Very likely. So that's the upshot of the paranormal conference. So if you are a bargain hunter, you might want to keep an eye open. Goldstar.com is going to have some discount tickets that are going to be available for it as
okay.
well. So
Well, it's not too unreasonable now, as it is $15 for the 2 days, or is it 20 for the 2 days?
It's 20 for the 2
20
days,
so that's not
$12.50
that
per
bad.
day. No.
Now,
no,
how
not
many
at all.
hours is this? See, I don't even know myself. I'm going to be a vendor over
The,
there. I don't know. Well, am I a vendor? I guess that's what
You're
you
a
call
vendor.
it.
Yes, 10 to 7 on Saturday, 10 to
10
5
in
on
the morning till 7. Wow.
right, and
Holy
10 to 5
schmoes.
on 10 to 5
So
on
if you want to
Sunday.
stay there for this, you're getting your money's worth for $10. You're there from 10 to 7.
Absolutely.
If you want to stay for all this, yeah.
Absolutely.
And there's
I mean,
activity
you
all
can
the
listen-
time, at all hours.
There's
always something going
activity
on.
for 6 of the 8 hours that we're up. So I mean, you can get
So
some.
you get your money's worth, yeah.
Yeah,
Listen to a lot of
absolutely.
nice speakers and a lot of interesting people. Ursula Bielski, Ed Shanahan, all these different
Right.
people and stuff. And
Absolutely.
Yeah.
People who are really
Yourself, you'll be doing a
conversant.
talk there, yeah.
Thank you. Who,
You're going to be
who
doing
know
martial
their
arts
fields
there
well.
too? You're going to be breaking blocks there? And
No breaking
No?
blocks. This is more about the energy work, more about the teaching people that they don't have to train for 30 years and be able to break cement blocks to be able to protect themselves, as well as to be able to benefit from the health benefits of practicing the martial arts. I mean, it's really important. I've had a number of physical conditions. For example, both of my hips have been replaced. My family has a real bad history of chronic arthritis. I mean,
my.
debilitating arthritis. My mom had it by the time she was in her 30s. So, I had both of my hips replaced by the time I was 56. And going through the surgeries and then going through the rehab people couldn't believe how quickly I was able to recover, but a lot of it had to do with being able to regain the energy flow by doing
you got hip replacement at 56 years old, you had them done?
Right.
Wow, yeah.
Right. So, like I said, the therapists, they could not believe how quickly I was able to recover and how quickly I was able to actually...
I got to take lessons from you because mine's taking a long time. My break in the leg that I've had, it's been going on since January. I'm still healing.
Well, I had a student of mine that broke his knee doing skateboarding. The bearings on his skateboard seized up.
Ooh.
And the damage that he did to his knee was just monumental. The doctor told him he would never. He was 15, and the doctor told him he would never walk without a cane for the rest of his life.
Oh my!
And he would never be back in martial arts. He would never be on a skateboard.
How old was he?
15.
Oh, when you're 15, you heal real fast.
Well,
When you're 50, it takes longer. But when you're 15,
absolutely.
you heal in 2 weeks.
But the doctor who was an orthopedic surgeon for some of the bears, he said this kid is not going to recover. Before he went into surgery, he and I sat down and we talked. We talked about a therapy that I would recommend for him to do, massage and all the rest of it. As far as the therapy was concerned, he was back at my martial arts classes in 5 months. He was completely off of any kind of cane or whatever within
good for
3
him.
months. So, and the doctor, he said, even accounting for his age, even accounting for his rejuvenation abilities, the healing was just unaccountable, and as far as Western medicine was concerned.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, fascinating.
Yeah.
Now, where in the heck were you at on January 4th when I had this accident to me? When I could have really used you,
Well, see,
let's put it to you this way. Mine was the seriousness of my injury. In mine, I went in the hospital January 4th. January 5th, they did surgery.
Mm-hmm.
And I did not really think too much of this at the time, happening the next day like
Right.
this. But later on, the doctor came to me and told me, had they not done the surgery, there's a very good chance you could have lost your leg.
wow.
The injuries were just that serious. Yeah.
It was, well, like I said, it was remarkable when I only know from my own experiences that the 2 days after I had the hip surgery, the doctors or the nurses are coming in and here's your pain medicine. I'm what pain? I had none. So whatever it was that I've been taught is very very effective.
Yeah.
It the proof is in the pudding, so to speak.
Yeah. What do you take for your arthritis?
I don't.
You don't take anything. You just deal with it, and that's it.
Occasionally, I have to take some aspirin, but that's about the
I'm
extent
asking
of it.
because this is something they're telling me I'm going to have to look forward to.
Right.
With the breaks
Right.
and that, they says arthritis, you can kind of, guarantee you'll be having this. So.
I will teach you some massage and some techniques of trigger points that you can use on your hands
okay.
and on your hands and feet that will ameliorate a lot of those problems.
A lot of people don't realize it with acupuncture, like you say, hands and feet.
Mhm.
That sounds unusual. You're talking about a leg injury, but that's where the points are. The points that heal the knee are in the hand.
all
the
of
point
the
that heals the back is in the foot bottom. You know, I mean, all these different weird.
all of the meridians, all of the energy channels that we talk about either begin or end in the fingers or toes. That's the 6 of the organs are controlled in the hands, 6 of the organs are controlled in the feet. So heart, lung, large and small intestine, the endocrine system, and the pericardium are handled in the arms. Kidney, liver, spleen, gallbladder are all handled in the legs. So depending on which organ you're talking about is going to depend on where you're going to concentrate the most therapeutic technique and which trigger points you're going to be using.
Now, this is going to sound like a silly question. It's going to sound like I'm making a bad joke here, and I'm really not. I am just kind of curious about this. Say you did run into a situation where a person did not have their leg.
Yes.
They lost a leg. And then they did develop a kidney or a spleen problem. Well, the points are in the leg. They don't have a leg. What do?
Well,
you have to use some other...
No, not at all. You would still use the same pressure points. You have to focus in on where the energy is going. Some people realign or put the energy into different systems. Some people do not. Let me go to something that most people are familiar with. They've all heard of phantom limb pain, where somebody has an arm cut off, and the person will
still feel pain there. Yeah,
they're still feeling pain. They're still the arm is itchy or whatever. What's actually happening is that the energy systems are still there. The person hasn't accepted that the arm is gone, so the mind is still sending the energy in those same patterns.
Right. Yeah.
And as a result, you're still able to manipulate those energy patterns, even though there isn't anything physical there that we can perceive with the eye. The energy patterns are still there and still able to manipulate to produce the same types of effects that you would have had if there had actually been something physical there.
Interesting. So you can direct energy into something that's not even there to heal something.
Well, you can direct energy to something that's not physically there.
Right.
The energy is there.
Yeah.
So yes, you're still manipulating the same energy field that you would. You just don't have the encumbrance of having the body there. You're dealing directly with the energy.
Something I just wondered about, and I got my answer. Okay.
Yes, and see how it didn't sound silly at all.
Now, since this is Paranormal Radio, I have to drag you back into paranormal here. You don't do the paranormal investigations where you actually go and investigate ghostly sightings and ghostly...
I haven't. I had such a negative experience when I was a kid with the house that I grew up in. It's like I've had my fill of that. I don't really need any
You
more.
don't want to chase them. If they want to find me, they'll come and get me.
Yes, they do tend to find me too.
Yeah, I was going to say, a lot of times they can't transfer, and you can't drag them with you, so...
Unfortunately, I didn't drag whatever this guy's name was. I did not drag him with
thank
me.
God,
But I've had my share of spooks that still... My granddaughter is very sensitive. She's 7 years old, and I did a reading for my stepson and told him that one of his spirit guides' name was Nigel. And one day, as my granddaughter is at my house and then going out for a play date with a friend of hers, she asked her friend's mom, "Is Nigel going to be coming with us?" Now, she had never heard the name. She wasn't there during the reading and whatever, but evidently she had been talking to him. We had seen her talking to somebody that we couldn't see. So evidently she was talking to Nigel and knew him by name.
I've said this a few times before on the air and off. A lot of times parents kind of just blow this off as like the imaginary friend syndrome with the child. And they say, oh, that's just their makeup friend or just... No, a lot of times they are actually seeing something there.
Absolutely.
They are, and adults just kind of blow it off and say, oh, no.
One of the things
children and animals are very much in tune to...
Well, I was just going to say, we have a Rottweiler pit bull.
Yeah.
Who used to sit right next to my granddaughter when she was coloring at the table. And invariably, at some point during their visit, she would look up and the dog would look up and turn around and stare at the staircase at exactly the same time for exactly the same duration. Both of them would break off their stare and go back to what they were doing. So it's like, okay, well, both of them were hearing whoever it was that was standing
hearing and
on the
or
stairs.
seeing whatever. Yeah,
right,
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
They were having a conversation or having some sort of interplay with them.
Tom, this has just been too interesting. We're going to have to get you back on again.
I'd love
it's
to.
Near the time John is starting to doze off, Mr. John DeVita, the nicest man in radio. He's starting to doze there, so I know our hour is ending. We have about a minute left here to go.
And I didn't even hit a pressure point on him.
No, you didn't hit a pressure point on John. You don't have to. Sometimes we just kind of bore John with our conversation. No, I'm just kidding. John is the nicest man in radio. Yeah, he's fantastic. Yeah, he's the nicest man in radio, and probably the nicest man in Norwich, too. Maybe the nicest man in Illinois. I don't know, maybe the nicest man in the United States.
Hey, wait a minute. I live in Illinois.
Oh, you're nice, too. You're nice, too, but he's my boss.
Oh, okay.
So,
Okay. I guess you got to suck up.
Give us the plugs, Tom. Martial Arts Grandmaster. If someone wants to join one of your classes out at Marine Valley, give us the phone number or contact you, or how do they do this?
I've got two websites. For the martial arts, it's mysticwarriortraining.org.
Oh, Mystic Warrior. I was looking for you on the computer, Tom Cameron.
Right.
And there are 15 million Tom Camerons
I'm
that came
sure.
out. And since I did not know what you look like, I could not find you. So.
And now that you know what I look like,
Yes.
you're trying to forget.
No.
mysticwarriortraining.org. And then for the conference, it's palesparanormal.com.
That's a paranormal conference. And
Right.
your class. The class will be starting up not this semester. It will be in
It's going to
January.
be in January, right?
If someone is interested in getting into that, how would they...
They can either contact me or they can call Moraine Valley directly, and the name of the course is Our Paranormal World. And
Paranormal World. Now, what does the class run for the 8 weeks?
I believe it's $75, and that's for either in or out of district.
Oh, okay. So they don't charge you extra if you're living in,
Not for the community
Timbuktu or
classes.
whatever. Okay.
No, not for the community classes.
Okay, great. Okay. So there's a few phone numbers, and there's a few places Mr. Tom Cameron will be at, and we're going to have to get you back on again. Everyone, it's been wonderful coming back to the studio and doing the show again. Thank you so much. Thank you, John, for having me back. It's been a pleasure doing these shows. It always is, and it's really nice being back here again, getting them started up again. I do these once a month, so we'll be back in October. Listen to us on Windy City, www.windycityhometown.com, and for that matter, all the other great programs they got on there. Dawn of Sports, Meet the Chicago Historians, Chicago Junction, all the other great shows they have going on the Windy City Network. And then listen to us on Jack FM, 89.7 WRHS in Norwich. Thank you so much. We'll be on again in October. I'm not certain of the date, but we do, like I say, once a month. So we'll be back in October doing another show here and getting ready for the Halloween season. Thank you so much for listening, folks, and have a wonderful evening. Go out and look at the weird moon we're going to have tonight. Bye-bye. Thank you.
You have been listening to Paranormal Radio with Bob Trisek from the John DeVita Broadcast Center on the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network and Jack FM 89.7 WRHS FM Norwich. Paranormal Radio was directed by John DeVita. Audio engineer is James Rohde. Radio station manager Kevin Zeflik. And the executive producer of Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network is Mr. John Seconda. This program was pre-recorded on Monday, September the 8th, the year 2014. Be safe, and thanks for listening.